Why has Saturn been so successful in this country? I'll tell you why. They don't sell you a car, they sell you an education program, and you get enrolled in the Saturn feeling. Whoa! Now, I don't own a Saturn, and I probably never will. Don't take it personally. They're too small. I like big car. The short guys like big cars.
He was dynamic, funny, and very educational.
A coupon clipper will pay $39 to belong to a club. There's nothing wrong with that. They will drive 60 miles to get there, they will shop for 60 minutes, and they will drive 60 miles back. And they will save $15. There's nothing wrong with that. But she drove my car.
Tom is a trendsetter. He is ahead of the curve. He is in the right position to make everyone better.
Yeah, I hate to tell you, I didn't want to come here. Is that all right? I got off that plane and I stood outside and I said, this is the most beautiful day I've ever seen in San Francisco in my life. I get here 6 times a year. Why don't I just stand out here in the sun and maybe I'll grow?
Funny. He's funny. Yeah, he kept me in stitches, which is good. We didn't even realize 2 hours flew by.
With that, always put a fun one in, like my 227. Let me share a 227 with you. Now, you can use it anyway. If somebody says to me, your prices are way out of line, I go, that's it.
I liked him. He was funny, and he kept my attention, and he had good stories and a lot of good things to say.
And that's just a sneak preview of America's market strategist, Thomas J. Wininger, the ideal keynote speaker for your next major conference or convention. A seasoned pro with over 17 years of speaking experience, Tom Wininger brings your organization a refreshing blend of powerful platform dynamics, leading-edge sales techniques, audience involvement, and a high level of entertainment. Best of all, your audience probably already knows Tom Wininger because they have seen him on television. They've read his book, Price Wars, How to Win the Battle for Your Customer, and they've learned from the Wininger Institute's highly acclaimed video and audio library. Tom holds the coveted CSP and CPAE certification from the National Speakers Association, where he received the prestigious Cabot Award in 1995 for his outstanding work as a past president and founder of NSA's International Center. Enough accolades. Here are some live action segments of Tom Wininger.
The problem with many of you in this room is you sound like, look like, taste like, and act like everybody else selling your product. And that doesn't give you any market advantage. You're too busy selling what you're selling and not selling what the customer's buying to be effective on the phone or in person with anybody else. And I'm not being critical of your friends. It's the same with me. Do you understand? That's why I'm sharing with you here. 10 years ago, the country's cycling every 11 years, by the way. I don't care what anybody tells you about information. The whole country today is changing its personality every 11 years. 11 years ago, the statistic was analyzed that 27% of the buying public was coupon clippers, 17% of the buying public was upscale, and 56% of the buying public was confused. Okay? That means 56% of your customers 10 years ago needed to be educated before they bought. That's right. Today, 11 years later, after the success of the Walden paradigm in the North American continent, that's Sam Walton, spelled 6 billion. After the Walden paradigm ravaged America, today, 44% of the buying public buys price first and quality second. That scares me. Now, that doesn't scare me from the standpoint, though, that still, I believe, only 27 out of 100 people are still really driven to price, though. I think the difference between 27 and 44, and you can figure it out rather than me, is the difference between a confused customer who's listening to the wrong source about what to buy, how to buy, and where to buy. And you and I aren't doing a good job because we're using the same terminology as everybody else, and many of us don't have a market advantage in the marketplace today, and I want to talk about that with you tonight. The 44% today in this country worries me because we in business today depend upon a customer who buys value, not a customer who buys price. Position by concept. Who are you and what are you doing? Physicians are not doctors' friends. They're people helping people stay healthy, so if they get sick, they'll be healthier in the sickness so they can get well faster. That's what a physician is. I don't know what you do, but please, you better define it in 24 words or less. I was at a conference with a bunch of physicians, and I asked the doctor what he did. He said, I'm a physician. I said, Doctor, I think I asked the right question, but I got the wrong answer. He said, well, ask me the question again. He was very good. I said, what do you do? He said, I help people who have bone problems get healthy. I said, can I tell you something? I'm going to have bone problems. It runs in the family. Yeah, going to have a bad back, going to have lousy knees, going to have lousy joints. I don't want to get sick to have to see you. I want to see you now. I want you to call me on the phone every 6 months and have me come in for a physical and show me how in health maintenance program how to stay healthy so if I ever get sick. That's the business I want you in. Now you can sell anything you want, Doc, but that's what I want to buy. And for that, I'll pay you a lot more money. The question is, what are people buying from you? What's your position in the marketplace? And is your position what they're buying or what you're selling? Quote me.
I could say the new age guru in selling. That's the best way I could describe it.
So on the bottom of this page, before I go on, I just want to challenge you sometime to sit down in 24 words or less, write down what you do for the customer that they're really willing to pay for, remembering, quote me, that you sell the difference, you do not sell the similarities. You sell the difference, you do not sell the similarity. And let me give you this point. She said, I don't want the air filter cleaner. When we were sitting in the living room, I scratched it off. I said, that's all right. I scratched it off. She said, how much does that lower the price? I said, it doesn't. It's still $6,000. She said, that doesn't make any sense to me. I said, look, we're going to give it to you. You might as well take it. Thank you. Well, the salespeople running for the woods every time somebody says, well, I can't spend that much money. I said, then wait to buy it. Don't buy it now. Don't cheapen yourself up. Be unhappy the fact you went ahead at a time that you should have spent a little bit more to get what you really wanted. They go, you're telling me not to go ahead? I said, well, I'm not going to force you to go ahead. The last thing I want is an unhappy customer. This is a very small world. The last thing I need is people out there unhappy telling other people they were unhappy. I prefer you be a waiter than a buyer. Wait a little longer till the price doubles.
One of the things I really enjoyed his energy. So he was very energetic, and actually his fast-paced really kept my attention also. And his stories were wonderful, and just the idea of having a new twist on some of the ideas that I hadn't thought about.
Every one of you is a business person today, and when you walk out of here, I want you to wake up to the fact that you are an independent business person contracted with me as a company to provide services for me, whether you're on my payroll or not. And the most important thing you can sell for me today is not what you're selling, but what the customer's buying. That's what I need you to sell today. And if you call me on the phone, that's what I need you to sell. Cairo sales specialist, account manager, account salesperson calls me on the phone, account executive calls me on the phone and says, Mr. Winninger, we have a way to get your message to a better responder in the marketplace today via the vehicle of our radio station. That's what they're doing. They're selling me the ability to get my message to a person who has a higher level of response to what I have to offer. That's what they sell me. They don't sell me radio time. I don't want to buy radio time. I want to buy a way to get my message to who? A higher level responder. Somebody says, how do you deal with a person who wants to think it over? I said, I pull number 72 out of my pocket. That's how I deal with them. I got these all numbered. I don't have to think about it. You don't have to think about anything, do you? Nope. Think about it. I got these all numbered. All my strategies are numbered today because I have natural responses I need to have because I don't want to think anymore. Somebody says to me, I want to think it over. I said, thank you very much for the opportunity of working with a person who wants to put off the right decision at the wrong time. Whoa! I have a Form B to 72. It says, thank you for giving me the opportunity of saying goodbye. Quote me, though, I will make a good stab at it. If I think you're the kind of person who's just confused because you're a 56%er, I'm going to stay with you a little bit longer. I will do the same thing over the phone. Could you do me a favor? Number 72. Thank you for sharing with me. This is an important decision. I will congratulate you on you realizing that. The other people who said the same thing before they went ahead had a couple of questions. Would you please share with me what your questions are at this point so I can relate it to the situations I've been involved in before when people have decided that this is such an important decision they want to make sure it's the right one before they go ahead. Woo. I'll give that one to you. You can take that home and practice that, buddy. It's a little better than what you've been saying. Wake up. Now for you in the cheap seats, there's nothing on these sheets of paper. This is magic. Please hold it up so everyone can see it. Right, there you go. I know these so well because I've practiced them. I don't have to worry about what I need to say when I need to say it that I should have said when I needed to say it after my opportunity is gone. Do you understand? And I learned, I learned that more over the phone. People, you don't have as much time on the phone as you do. That's the one limiting factor that I found on the phone. You got to have better pauses and move to the point much faster over the phone, and no thinking causes backdraft. How many of you saw the movie? You pause for a minute over the phone, sucked right into the fire.
He makes you think. He makes you look at things a little differently.
He was excellent. He was a very motivational speaker.
Sell the program, sell the program. And when I'm talking about program, I'm talking about long-term relationships. Carrier called us on the phone, and some of you have heard this story before, and they said, Tom, we got a problem. I said, what's that? They said, well, we sell furnaces, and we can't sell furnaces anymore. I said, you can't sell furnaces? They said, no, nobody wants to buy them. I said, well, I knew that. How many of you want to buy a furnace? Can I ask you a stupid question? How many of you want to own a furnace? How many of you want to know you own a furnace? Well, if you know you own it, it's what? It's broken down. That's right. Nobody knows they own a furnace until there's a problem with it. People don't want to look on TV and say, hey, buy my furnace. And so we flew in, had a little consternation with Carrier, came out of there, and I said, look, you don't sell furnaces, you sell comfort. You sell comfort. People buy comfort, they won't buy the furnace. It's what you do for them, it's not what you sell that makes the difference. So in 36 months, we moved them from selling furnaces to selling comfort and what we call comfort diagnostic evaluation, which means you don't go into a home to talk to people about furnaces. You go into a home to talk about what? Comfort. Where their thermostat is located. This is a problem. How many of you got a thermostat? One. In the hallway. 82% of the people in America have a thermostat shoved in the hallway. Now, isn't that pretty stupid? Now, I'm not trying to be guttural with you, but man, the only place in your home or your condo that's comfortable is your hallway. Oh, you're pretty sharp. So the temperature outside is 102, the humidity is 200 degrees, and you say to your spouse, your significant other, your kids or whatever, say, let's go be comfortable, let's sit in the hallway. I like to go out in the field in the industries I work in because it keeps me current at the point of purchase, which is critical for me. And I can't do a lot of it, but I try to do it whenever I can in environments where, you know, it's convenient to do because it keeps me current. And we're sitting there with Mike and Nancy says, how much is a furnace? I said, Nancy, I'm sorry if you're misled, but we don't sell furnaces at Carrier. You don't? No. You talking to people who sell furnaces? She said, well, as a matter of fact, we have. I said, well, for goodness sake, can I ask you a question, Nancy? How often do you walk through your home and one room is comfortable and the other room is uncomfortable here in the Minneapolis area when the temperature's below 50 degrees? She said, well, it happens all the time. I said, that's why you don't want a furnace. You see, you want a system. You want to make absolutely sure every room within 2.5 degrees is where you want it to be, and then you want somebody to monitor that deviation for you without you having to check your thermostat. She said, we do? I said, yes. Now, what am I doing? I'm building a buying model. She said, whoa, how much is this? I said, only $6,000. She said, wow, comfort costs that much? I said, really, it's a capitalization. You see, how long are you folks going to live here? Well, we're going to live here 5 or 6 years. I say, well, give me the age of your youngest child. When they give me the age of their youngest child, I said, well, I would project, based upon working with a lot of clients who still have children at home, you're probably going to be here a little longer because, you see, nobody buys the good house till the last kid is gone. Oh.
His presentation was outstanding. I think he has great concrete examples that people can relate to. And if you're in business and you want to have an increase in sales, I think he's a guy you should definitely take your people in to see.
A young man came out to my office, walked in my office. Walked behind my desk, had high-water pants, white socks on, and a polyester jacket. Had dirt under his fingernails, had a zit in the middle of his forehead right there. And he said, Mr. Wininger, I'm sorry about taking up any of your time, but I don't often get an opportunity of meeting with a person like you. As a matter of fact, let me correct that. I have never had the opportunity of being with a person like you, and my sales manager said that you have built this business on a sales dynamic, and if I did anything right when I was out here, I should ask you about it. Yo, man, you are in now. Sit down. He said, please, I'll wait till you sit down. I sat down. He took out a pad and a paper, and that was 4:30, and at 6:30, my personal phone rang. I didn't realize the time went that fast. And you know who's on that personal line? Lynn with an E, my coupon clipper. She said, where are you at? I said, I'm with somebody who loves me. To be very open with you, I have never arrived at home with the kids with pads and pencils in their hands, taking down everything I said. Have you ever arrived at the dinner table with 4 kids under the age of 10, all with a pad and paper and pencil, wanting to know how dad and mom changed the world, retrofit the world, reconnected the technologies of the world? Oh, yeah, Dad, good idea, Dad. Yeah, oh, Dad, that's a good idea. Whoa, Dad, you were good today, Dad. Whoa, thanks, Dad. You getting that? I'll swap places with you. That's what that kid was doing in my office with a zit in the middle of his forehead. He was sitting there, and every time I gave him a strategy step or strategic operative, he'd go, whoa, that's cool. I gave him a 5-step strategy for overcoming the objection. I gave him the 12 strategic operatives in the marketplace to retrofit your business. I gave him $1 million worth of information, and I loved it. He flipped the pages over. That's a good one. And every time he did that, I went, yeah, that's a good one. This kid had me. What makes this kid different than anybody else who walked in that day, tried to sell me a machine with a motor in it that shoots out a lot of paper when I don't need it and doesn't shoot out any paper when I need it? Young man says to me, he says, I'm real embarrassed. I said, don't you worry about it. I don't arrive at home with people with pads and pencils in their hand looking about how I'm going to change the world and help them. I said, you just keep writing. I got about another half hour in me before I exhaust here. I was dead at 4:30. Where did that energy came from? It came from where? It came from that young man. He said, well, you could really do me a favor. I said, what's that? He said, will you share with me the biggest sales challenge you ever had and how you overcame it? Well, that was another 45 minutes. I loved it. Then he said to me, I'd like to talk about my product. I said, that's all right. What do you got? He said, I got 3 of them. Got 3 different ones. 3 different sizes, as a matter of fact. He said, I got the medium, the big one. I said, you don't have model numbers? He said, you're not interested in the model numbers, are you? I said, why would I be interested in model numbers? He said, I learned that from page 2 of my notes. I said, thank you. I said, no, why would you suggest I buy the largest one? He said, how did you know I was going to say that? I said, well, I suspected that the difference between the medium and the large is not a lot, which would help me buy up because I probably ought to buy a little bit ahead of where I'm at because my company is growing. Is that right? He said, that's right. He said, as a matter of fact, let me share this with you, Mr. Whittaker, if I may. The customers who buy a machine like this realize that when they, at your level of production, cost only about 7 cents a page, but with the increase I see in your business over some of their businesses, you could get down to 5.5 cents. Doesn't seem like a lot of money for a piece of equipment that will give you the capability of reducing overhead like this machine. Does it? I love this kid. I spent $17,000. 7.5 cents at a time. He used on me every technique I taught him that night. And it's a big machine. Wow! What made that kid different? He sold me what I wanted to buy, right? He sold me a reflection of where I wanted to take my company in the midst of this piece of equipment that could help me get there. That's what this kid with high water pants, white socks, and a polyester coat sold me. And then I said, look, well, Tony, why don't you just come to work for me? And I'll get you out of that suit. He said, yeah, but it works. Whoa!
One of only 2 speakers that is repeated every year on our lineup. So we bring him back every year. We've promoted at least 100 speakers, and only 2 of them we bring back every year in all 10 cities. So I think that alone is very, very powerful and says a lot about his, what he has to offer in his